Yo, can you hear me?
Yo, yo!
Hey,
What's up, man?
got quite an act to follow after Rasmer showing off all that chest hair.
Oh, God, you saw that, dude? I'm so
Sorry, I
sorry.
don't on and can't take off my shirt for chat.
No, it's so much better without with people that have shirts on. Before we start, I want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Can you say it one time?
Yeah, it's Gammichan.
Gammy, I had it. I was just too scared to rip it. Gammichan, dude.
Yeah, no, you got it. You got it eventually.
It's honestly a fucking pleasure to meet you. Just so you know, I worked for that follow back. You have been probably like I worked for it. Holy shit. You have been probably
I try and keep my follows kind of low. I don't want to like get it too carried away. But
No, no,
you got it. Nice work.
I respect it, but you have probably been in my like top 5 favorite accounts definitely over this AI boom. Who are you? Like I got it as much as you want to share. Like what's your deal? Who are you? Like you're on a fucking tear right now.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, I've been in crypto for a long time. I started mining Bitcoin back in 2011. But yeah, so I just had like, I was in college in my dorm room. I had free electricity and I already had like a gaming computer built. So I was like, well, I can just run this program on my computer and make a couple $100 a month. And as like a broke college kid who only had like $1,000 in his bank account, this was like the greatest thing ever. So I did that. But the thing that really sucks is because I was a broke college kid with only $1,000 in his bank account, I pretty much just sold everything that I mined right when I mined it, like buy food, gas, insurance on my car, etc. So I really didn't like keep any of that crypto. I really didn't have any success until like the 2017 bull run. Because by then I was out of college, I had a job, and like because I had that paycheck coming in, I was able to just like take some money aside, set it in crypto, and just like if it goes to zero, it goes to zero, whatever. I have my paycheck. I'm good. I don't need this money to live. And it wasn't until I was able to have that attitude that I like had any real success.
What's the lore behind
Like that.
the Dead Fellas PFP?
Oh,
You don't see too
I
many of
just,
them out here anymore.
yeah, I don't know. I just liked it. It's not like I just like my little green dude. And I kind of feel like when people change their PFPs, so often like somebody I talk to all the time, they'll change their PFP, and then like I wind up not talking to them for like 2 months, and I'm like, hey, whatever happened to that person? And then I realize it's like because they changed their PFP, and I don't even recognize them anymore. So it's kind of once I went with the Dead Fellas, I just feel like I'm locked in with it, which I don't mind. I like my little green dude.
I like it too, dude. That's pretty sick lore. Tell me, because I feel like you were in a very select group of people, and I'll be honest, I wasn't even super familiar with you. I followed you, but I didn't know much about you pre existence of Goat and Farcoin and everything that followed. But tell me why, like, how you were so right about what was gonna happen with AI. Like, how did you just snipe this meta and what seemingly like attention full port? What was to come?
Yeah, so I feel like I have been getting a lot more attention lately because of the AI stuff. Before that, I was more like well, back in like the 2017 cycle, I was a big Link Marine. That was like my
Huh?
thing back then. This cycle, yeah, definitely AI has been the big thing. So my background, like I'm a computer engineer, so I'm familiar with a lot of the tech side of things. Like I've been like when I was 8 years old, my dad and I we put a mod chip in my PS1 so I could play like a Japanese copy of like a Dragon Ball game because it had like region locking, so I had to like mod my PlayStation,
No
and I think that's
way.
when I got into electronics then. So I've like I have a long background of having like a technical mind. So the AI thing has always really appealed to me. And then when Goat showed up, I have a tweet like like the day before I bought Goat, where I quoted Truth Terminal, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like this thing's AI. Like its tweets are actually pretty funny." It was talking about like meme magic or whatever, which was like, if you know much about the Link Marines, that was like a big thing for the Link people too. And the fact that now there was like AI talking about it, I thought that was pretty cool. But at the time, I didn't realize there was a token out for it. I didn't realize until like the next day that it actually had a token. But once I saw the token, it took me like 3 minutes to buy. Like I immediately pulled out my wallet. I was on vacation, unfortunately, which I don't like. I don't. I just had like a small mobile wallet of like some funds with me. I didn't bring like most of my crypto with me, so I just had like a little bit. But I like aped it all into Goat in like 3 minutes. It took like zero hesitation. I
At
think
what
that was like
price?
that was a 10 million market cap Goat. And then right after that, I tweeted. By the time I tweeted, it was already up to like 17 million, I think. In like the 10 minutes it took me to like buy it and then like tweet about it, it already went from like 10 to 17. But my first tweet about it was there's a token out there that's $17 million and it combines AI, memes, and there's a billionaire VC involved. Like that was the basic thesis. And I'm a big fan of things that have like a simple thesis that you can describe in a sentence or two. So for Goat, that was the AI meme billionaire VC and like just really simple and obvious from that perspective, I guess.
I'm big on the airtight argument thing. Like I think that like the one sentence pitch I think is like very important. It gets tough when every AI coin has the same one sentence pitch, but I like that. That's a banger tweet, by the way. I wish I fucking did that and tweeted it at 17 mil. How do you? Maybe we can start here and like work backwards. But you again, you've been super deep in what's happening with AI, crypto, AI, blockchain. How do you evaluate where we are right now? I know there's a lot of people on the timeline. They're like calling for the top on the macro. I don't subscribe to that at all. But we've had some big runners at this point, like Virtuals, multiple billions, AI16Z, multiple billions. My beloved Goat crossed a bill. Like there's been a lot of AI coins that seemingly have absolutely ripped. But then you zoom out and cookies.fun is my favorite, and the market cap of these AI agent coins they say is somewhere around 14, 15, 16 billion. Like when we're 3 months beyond the launch of Go, how do you view where we are right now in the AI market, AI crypto market?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways you can look at that. You can like assess it as the crypto market as a whole. You can assess it on just the AI market. You can also look at corollaries. Like you can look back at like DeFi Summer and see like, well, how long did that take to play out and like develop a bit of a framework using that as a reference. But I think by any of these measures, we're still pretty early. Um, the like the overall um, the overall cycle. I like Pool Two Polly said something. Maybe I might have been like a month ago. Maybe said something along the lines of you're not early to the cycle, but you're early. Like in time you're not early, but in quantity of money you can make, you're still early. Because like a lot of the biggest pumps happen in like the last couple months of the cycle, historically at least. So like I think we're early in terms of like the biggest growth has yet to come. But like in terms of time, no, you could argue we've been like in a bull market for over a year now. Like do I think we have an entire full year left? Maybe not. I mean, maybe, you know, there's an argument to be made for like a quarter four top, but so like overall cycle wise, I think we still have time. We still haven't seen like a real alt season. We've seen little like sectors pop off, or we've had like certain coins run, like Farcoin ran or A16Z ran. But we haven't had like that major end of cycle, like Bitcoin dominance way down, altcoins flying type of alt season yet.
Ansem tweeted this, and he was like, if like picking altcoins this cycle has just been brutal. Especially if you missed the big AI, like if you didn't get Go early, if you didn't get AI 16Z early, if you didn't get Cerebro, if you didn't get Virtuals, except like if you didn't get the top like 5 to 10, it's been kind of brutal, man. Like it definitely is not like 20. I wasn't here in 2017. I was here for all of 2020, 2021, and I felt like that was legitimate easy mode. Like close your fucking eyes, pick a couple good coins, and wake up tomorrow and they're worth way more. Close your eyes, pick a couple good NFTs, wake up tomorrow they're up 10x. This to me, other than the select group of AI early, if you were right, has not felt like that.
Yeah, we haven't had that full blown alt season yet. And even when we do, I think this cycle, just by nature of like how many altcoins there are now, like we're not going to be able to pump all of them at once. But we still haven't really seen like a multi-sector, like everything that's good is going up kind of run. It's been very like just like these sub pumps. So we had like the AI meta right now, and we had like the Solana meme coins like 6 months ago or whatever. So we had like these mini bubbles within the cycle, but we haven't really had like the full big one. But yeah, I think people talk a lot about the attention economy and how that's becoming more important. Like can only focus on so many things. They only have enough money for so many things. So
Facts.
you really want to buy like what's new, what has people's attention, and I really think that's gonna be AI from here until the end of the cycle. Like that's the big thing.
Okay, so you're even despite seemingly doing very well on AI up until this point, you're at the mindset of you want to go deeper, spend more time, put more capital because AI is just gonna kind of black hole attention for the rest of the cycle.
Yeah, and if we look, like how I was saying earlier, that you can view it as like where are we at in terms of the whole cycle, also where are we at in terms of like AI valuation and comparing it to DeFi. Like the total market cap of all these AI tokens still pretty small. Um,
It is.
when you like look back at what DeFi did in 2020 and 2021, like the TVLs that they got to, the valuations that they got to, pretty insane. And we haven't seen that level of craze in the AI space yet. I think it only got to something like 15 billion, which in terms of like the market cap for the entire sector is still really small. I think we probably hit 100 billion for it at least. I mean, think of it this way: we took like the two most hyped up speculative technologies of the past decade, and we combined them into one. We took crypto and AI,
AI Omega
like
cycle.
right, and just mashed that shit together into one like mega pump tech. Like if that tops out at 15 billion, I don't know what the hell we're doing here. Like I really think that should go higher. And then I mean you have like the tech the tech is still it was only, what, a year ago, year and a half ago or whatever that like chat GPT kind of started taking off. And I we have made a lot of progress since then, but I think there's a lot more to go. Like ChatGPT o3 is coming out soon, and like that's been a giant leap in performance. And there's all like Sam Altman talking about like we know how to achieve AGI, etc. Like it's only going to get crazier from here. And also, I think you can look at people's reaction when ChatGPT first showed up and use that as like a reference for where we're at on the AI crypto cycle. It's been very similar. Like
Interesting.
when ChatGPT first showed up, everybody was like, "Well, what the hell do I need this for? Like, it's a chat bot. Like that's stupid." And everybody's like, "Why would I talk to this bot? Like I'll just Google search it or something." You saw the same shit happen in crypto now. Like when Goat showed up, everybody was like, "Oh, this is just, it just posts on Twitter. This is stupid. Like, what is the point of this? It's just a chat slop bot." But my argument was like you have these new technologies. They get a lot of attention. They attract in a lot of developers, and then you start to see from that like initial spike of attention and all the developers that join, you see like new waves of tech coming. And we're still in that phase where people are like scrambling to build new things. And I think a lot of like the big winners probably haven't even launched yet.
I like the analogy to when GPT first launched because that was totally the case. It was like this is stupid. I remember showing it to my family for the first time. They're like, dude, I'll just we were using it like Google, like what's the capital of like Virginia and shit. Like we were like using it as like a fact checker, had it completely wrong, and we're like, bro, we'll just Google search it. Like what this is so stupid. You know what I'm also Rev with the 50 gifted my goat. You know what I'm trying to figure out, and this is what I want to ask you is, I've been kind of breaking my brain on this. Is I'm trying to figure out how big is the pie of what we're playing for in AI crypto specifically. I understand how big AI is. I understand how big crypto is. What I'm trying to figure out is what are we playing for in AI crypto specifically? Because if the answer is we are just riding the wave and inflating a massive fucking bubble or running NFTs back on trend in 2021, I'm like very down for that. We all get rich, everyone makes money, everyone's happy, most people are happy, and we leave positive. But there's also this like other side of the coin, which is like AI blockchain is going to have like a very meaningful impact at the top of the funnel. It's gonna have a meaningful consumer impact. It's maybe gonna compete with some of the juggernaut, Anthropic, Perplexity, OpenAI companies of the world. And I'm like stuck in between. I'm a believer. I'm a Kool-Aid drinker at heart. I get excited about shit. But I'm trying to just like rationally disassociate and evaluate like what is the actual goal for what we're doing here, because if it's a bubble that's fine, but I just want to know.
Yeah, so I think it depends on if you view it from the perspective of like, are you looking at just this cycle, or are you looking at like very, very end goal, like ultimate where we arrive? Because probably what'll happen is like, I don't expect us to achieve the ultimate vision before this cycle runs out. Assuming we do still have like traditional cycles, which I'm like becoming less of a believer in as time goes on. I think like, to use, the naughty word of super cycle, I think we kind of are in like a super cycle of like mini cycles. So we still have, busts and booms, but like overall it's still one giant like super cycle that's trending up. But yeah, if you look at it in terms of like just this cycle, I think there's probably not enough time for us to achieve the full goal. So like, will this cycle will probably be mostly just like a bubble. We run it up on like hype and attention, and some things will go to like crazy valuations. Like I mean, I think Fartcoin is going to like 20 bill plus. Um, sorry, but I'm like, I think that one's captured so much attention. We're going to see some like big blow off tops like that. But I don't think we're actually going to achieve like the real world vision of like, well, what can we do with this tech to help people? I think that probably comes in the next cycle. I would maybe use like the dot-com boom as an example of this. Late 90s, early 2000s, like some of these tech companies got to crazy valuations and they didn't do anything, like pets.com or whatever, like just died off. 90% of it went to zero. But out of that was born Google and Amazon, and all like these tech companies wound up actually becoming like the biggest companies in the world. Um, I think that initial speculative phase is very important because it draws in attention, it draws in talent, it draws in money, and then um, a lot of that fails. But through that, like fire, through that craze, a lot of like real things are born. And I think we will see that with this AI tech, it only makes sense that like these digital humans need a digital currency to interact. Like we can have them engage in their own economies between each other, and also with humans we need incentive mechanisms for these things, which uh, by the way is like that's really what crypto boils down to. Like that was the whole innovation that Bitcoin brought us, was an incentive mechanism to get people to coordinate and to all come to consensus on like what a valid transaction on the network was. And everything in crypto has really been like an extension of that, of having these incentives, and that's like the main thing it's revolutionized. So I think there is this natural like symbiotic relationship between AI agents and crypto. It's a way that we can incentivize the agents to engage with us and behave in ways that help us.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page that Goat and Fartcoin are both going to go to 20 bill. I like. Let me one.
I do still like Go. I think there's value in it, like being the original, the one that started all of this. And I think like at some point in the cycle, I can see it having a comeback.
All right, I'm going to ask you one more like philosophical esque AI question, then we'll get into the weeds a little bit. But from the perspective of just because I think you have good fucking takes. You have good takes. I like how you think. I
Thanks,
do.
man.
I do. I have you on noties, which I don't usually glaze, but like you deserve it. You're. By the way, chat his Twitter's pinned in the chat. Um, from the perspective of like building real, from the perspective of real things, like what is the goal? Whether it's this cycle or just like the meta next cycle long term outlook goal of what could be accomplished with crypto AI. Like do we have a goal, or are we you just figure it out and then you work backwards and you're like, oh yeah, it was obvious the whole time, we just couldn't see it yet.
I think there is a little bit of both. Like there is a bit of a chicken and egg problem. Like a lot of times when there's like innovation that happens, it happens just because people are tinkering. Like people are like, oh, I think this shit's really cool. Like I want to build stuff in this, and they just start building. They just start messing around with it, and like they figure stuff out as they go. And it's not necessarily like a solution in search of a problem. It's almost like they're not even like in search of a problem at all. They're just like having fun and like tinkering and hacking, and so many great things in the world have come out of that kind of behavior where people are just interested in something. It's exciting and they want to create with it. And like it's really hard to say what those things that people will create will be, but I do think there's room for a real world impact. So like to actually step away from AI for a moment, like my background, like I was saying earlier, how I was a big Link Marine. Uh, thing that got me into Link was, well, that was like what actually enables smart contracts to interact with the real world. So I thought that was like a big kind of 0 to 1 moment of like, well, we have Ethereum, we have these contracts that we can write, but like they can't do shit unless they have some kind of connection to the real world. Like what's the point if it never actually interacts with the real world? And I mean, I think even like that dream we still haven't seen realized. Like there's still a lot of room to integrate the non-AI stuff, even like um like just simply DeFi, not even AI DeFi, still has a long way to go in terms of like revolutionizing finance that like normal people are participating in. And I do think there's important benefits there, like back when I started mining Bitcoin, I sent my dad an email like with the Bitcoin white paper, and I was like, holy shit, like have you seen this? Like you can be your own bank, like, and nobody is the intermediary for the transaction. Like nobody can block you sending your money or anything. Like you're in full control of it. Like I've always been a fan of that vision of like empowering people, not having a middleman, also not having, central banks devaluing the purchasing power of your money. Um, but I think crypto, like some of the core values of crypto, are trustlessness, like meaning you don't have to trust some intermediary. It's not like I give you money and then you give it to somebody else. Like it's just peer to peer. We transact, and it happens on this network of like anonymous, trustless nodes where like nobody has any skin in the game to like screw us over. Um, so that trustlessness, where you're not dependent upon some third party to like not screw you over, and also transparency. Um, I think a lot of times it's like it's hard for Americans to understand because like they Americans don't deal with things that people in third world countries are dealing with as much, like having the value of their currency like decrease by 50% in a year, or like banks just taking their money. I mean, it has happened in America before. Like the Federal Reserve, like reappropriated people's gold back in, I think it was the 30s or what. Like, just like took people's gold to, like, it's like, well, this is America's gold now. Like, so there's historical precedent for a lot of like bullshit happening in monetary policy, and I think crypto is the protection against that. But even if we don't have to protect ourselves against like extreme cases like that, there's still benefit in having transparency and that trustlessness, and like just the faster settlement times. Like you don't have to wait 2 weeks to transfer money internationally; it just happens in 30 seconds. But then once we have that, which I do think Chainlink is still making a lot of great progress on making that happen. Like they're working with some of the largest banks in the world right now, and they're basically going to be the interface for all these banks to take their current processes and migrate them on chain so they can like interact with blockchain. So I think I don't know, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years or so, we'll start to see actual like institutions launching products that normal people can use, that are backed by blockchain technology, and we'll actually see people getting real world benefit out of these things.
That was
And
good.
then it's sorry, I'm ranting
Nah,
here.
nah, go. Sorry.
And then to get back to the AI part of that, it's really just a matter of like taking that backbone and putting a nice AI wrapper around it where you just make the UX more convenient for everybody instead of like having to manually do things. Now you have an AI agent that'll help you handle all this, that'll do it. And we are seeing a little bit of that already in crypto specifically. Crypto like notoriously has bad UX. Like if you just take somebody who's never used crypto before and you're like, hey, go buy like this shitcoin, they don't even know where to start. But I've been calling them helper agents, but lately the new term on it is DeFi AI, where there are these agents that help you do things on chain. So instead of having to like set up the wallet and bridge and like place a swap, you just tell this agent like, hey, I want to buy this token and I want to buy this much of it, and it does it for you. And I think out of everything this cycle, that might be like one of the most beneficial ones we see get developed in terms of just like actually making people's experience better and doing something useful.
AI is the front end to interact with blockchain. It's my favorite. It's so good. Although the I hate it because it doesn't like pronounce different. The
Yeah, that is a
DeFi.
different, because if you yeah, that's why I said DeFi AI, because if you just pronounce it the way it's written, it just sounds like you're
Who
saying
coined
DeFi.
that? Jeff.
I think it was Danny, like
Uh,
the Anon founder. Yeah.
Interesting. Um, by the way, the monologue was really. By the way, you have a really like. You ever like do audiobooks or anything? You have like a really like.
People have told me that
Okay, that shit is
before.
smooth as fuck. Here, all right, here's what I want to know then. Getting back into the weeds. You said at the beginning that even if we're not early cycle, we're early in the amount of money that you can make over for the rest of it. How, if it's gonna happen in AI, how do I or anybody in this chat make $10 million over the next month, specifically on the AI coins and probably the AI coins that haven't even launched yet? Like, how do you get rich off this stuff?
Um, that's the golden question, isn't it? Um, I ask myself that daily. Um, well, I guess first is like it depends a lot on your size, like how much you're starting with. Um, my big thing with Fartcoin is I feel like it's one of the like highest convictions to get one of the highest convictions to get a like 10x on size. Like there's not if you think about how many tokens out there could you realistically put like over $1 million into and get a 10x on it, there's not a lot because most of the large cap stuff, you know, from here till end of the cycle is going to get maybe like a 3 to 5x. Um, so you like someone like that wants to be looking kind of in like the mid cap range. You want to be looking at like the 100 mil to 1 billion range or so. But then, you know, somebody's starting with $10,000, like they're obviously not looking for a 10x, they're looking for a 100x. The game's totally different. Then that's somebody I would recommend to get into the trenches. Like you want to be looking at new launches, you want to be buying stuff under 1 million market cap, under 5 million market cap. It's totally different game. Um, I'm a big fan of I like the sweet spot of like running something from about like 5 mil to 100 mil. Because at 5 mil, I feel like it's gone up enough that it's like not, you can be somewhat confident that it's not total garbage. Like if you're buying stuff under a mil, like a lot of that just dies off. You don't see as many of the stuff like 5 mil plus just completely die off. The market has kind of already vetted it, you know, by the fact that like enough people have bought it to push it up over 5 mil.
Yeah, yeah,
They're now like, okay, there must be like at least a little something
yeah. There's
here.
something here.
Yeah, not just like it's not total garbage. And also like there's still a lot of upside because it's really cheap. But then the question of like, well, what do you buy at that 5 million? That's a really hard thing to teach. There's not like I don't have a formula for it. There's not like TA that it's not like I'm looking at charts like, oh, the chart for this one looks good. It's really like a feel thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It comes down to taste, comes down to experience. Like I feel like people just need to get out there and have Dex Screener open 12 hours a day and just see what does well, see what dies, and try and develop a feel for that. And also just like generally have a sense for like quality. Sometimes a project shows up and like I just looking at even just like the icon that they use. Like sometimes the graphic is such like low quality.
Yeah.
And I'm like anybody who like put effort into this and cared about it, they would have had like a better icon for their project or whatever. Sometimes it can even be as simple as that, like little giveaways. But you start to get a sense of like, okay, this is a good team. Like it's an interesting product. Um, I'm big on narratives. Like if I think like I said earlier about like that 1 to 2 sentence, like if you can describe it in 1 sentence, um, then you might be onto something. Like one trade I had a while ago was Mother, if you remember
Oh,
that.
of course.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That that one was pretty big for me, and I was like one of the first people to be like, I think something's going to happen here with Mother.
Wow.
And the way that I saw that one was that like same deal. I realized that there was a potential for like a powerful like 1 sentence narrative, and that narrative basically just boiled down to she's going to be the first celebrity that doesn't rug us.
And she
And like
hasn't.
that was it. Yeah, she still hasn't. I mean, the token like hasn't done great lately, but she still hasn't, you know, still hasn't rugged us. So, but yeah, that just came from like I listened to the first spaces she did, and she sounded genuine. Like I just got actual like genuine vibes from her. like, okay, she's actually going to stick around a little bit. And you get this combo effect of like everybody hates it immediately because everybody's so used to being dumped on by celebrities. So like
Facts,
nobody
facts.
wanted it initially. But the longer she like every day that went by that she didn't dump on everybody, you slowly get more and more people that are like, oh,
Real.
yeah, maybe this is real, and then they buy in. So you have this like the more time went on, the more buyers there were, which is kind of exactly what you want. Um, but yeah, that's like basically how I handle on chain is I look for narratives like that, and there's not really any way to teach that because the narratives are like always different. Like that mother narrative that I just explained, completely different from the narrative I had for goat.
They
Like,
also don't give you like lead up time. Like it isn't it just like happens and then you have to sort of like take action. Like there wasn't like this like build up to like all right. At least in my radar, it was like this build up to like okay, AI is gonna be the new thing. So like look out for this type of project, this type of project, this type of project, this type of coin. This type. Like Goat just like happens. All of a sudden it goes crazy. Then you have to like work backwards, and almost like pill yourself on the narrative a little bit.
but that actually brings up a good point of like the what I was saying was more about like predicting the narrative.
Interesting.
So like when I got into Goat, that was like before it started the narrative. When I got into Mother, that was like before that was
So
really a
were you
narrative.
like looking for a goat when you found like were you looking for the AI agent inception when you found goat and you were already like it was in your head you were thinking about it when I see this I'm gonna strike.
No, I just keep like a general like I cast like a wide net and kind of watch everything that's going on in crypto. And it wasn't like I saw like, oh, AI agents are going to be the next thing. But when I saw Goat, like it wasn't, it was the moment that I saw Goat that I was like, okay, this is a big thing. I didn't have that idea in my head like before Goat.
Got it.
Um, but it was like, it was pretty instant right when I saw it. I was like, this is a perfect combination of like mimetic virality and like AI tech,
Yeah, it's
which
just the
I
best,
love
right?
that.
It's the best.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love that. I love that combo of like memes and AI because it's like I've never been a huge fan of like the like animal memes and stuff like that
Yeah.
because I'm like at least for someone like me, I don't really understand how to pick between like do I buy this squirrel or do I buy this cat? Like what the fuck is going on here? But when you put like just enough tech into it, now you have something that you can like actually assess and like reason about and say like, okay, this one's a little bit better than this one. But they also still have that like mimetic virality, like attention economy thing going on. So it's kind of like if you took the best of memes and the best of DeFi and like crammed it together. That's how I view the AI meta. You got the tech half of it, the right curve, and then you got the meme left curve, and then you just have the mid curvers saying like, "Oh, these are just slop bots. This is all nonsense. It's not worth anything." And that's like the perfect trifecta. That's exactly what you want.
So
But
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say regarding like predicting the narrative versus reacting to it. I think both are very valid. Maybe like predicting it might be a little bit riskier. Um, but like for me, it's like one of those things like when I feel it. And like Goat was one of those I feel it kind of moments. Um, so like when something when you come up with that like one or two sentence narrative, and if it just like really clicks in your head, like ape it. That that's like my suggestion. But if you don't feel confident in your assessment of like trying to predict what the next narrative is going to be, you could also just react quickly. Like you don't have to figure it out. You can just let the market tell you. And as long as you're fast enough to it, like, when Goat showed up, most people were like, "Oh, this is bullshit," and they faded it. But the people who like actually gave it a chance and thought about it, and they were like, "Oh, maybe there's something here," and they got involved like quickly, they still obviously made a lot. You could have just gotten started in this meta like a month after Goat launched and still made a lot. Um, so you don't necessarily have to predict it. You just have to be open-minded, try new things. Like don't shut down immediately like anything new that shows up. Keep your mind open to it and like ultimately let the market tell you.
Yeah.
Like you might have your own bias, but the market doesn't care what you think.
Yeah.
You should be paying, yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you think if like when Goat showed up and people were like, "Oh, this is garbage," but it just keeps going up and up and up and up. At some point, you got to say, "All right, I was like the market is telling me I was wrong," and a lot of people have a hard time doing that. And the faster you can do that, the better you'll do. And that even goes for like trading like perps and everything too. Not
Do you
even
trade
just
perps?
on chain. Yeah, I
Ugh.
spot perps options on chain.
Are you mostly on
I'm not
chain?
as I'm not as good. My I'm best at like spot and on chain stuff. I'm not as good at perps. Um, because
Do you
like
have a
the
job?
on chain
So it's like
crypto's my job.
okay. Are you like a full time trader?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you
Um,
off. I just curious.
all good. But yeah, the same like instead of predicting, you can just react quickly. That also works for perps. Like a lot of people, they'll try and knife catch. You don't have to, nail the bottom. You don't have to call the bottom before it happens. You can wait for the bottom to form and then just get in on the momentum back upwards. It's kind of like analogous to on-chain narratives. Like you don't have to predict the narrative. You can wait for the narrative to show up, but as long as you like hop on early, you can still just ride the momentum up.
I like that, by the way, because especially for most people, predicting narratives is kind of like a difficult game to ask. Do you think Fartcoin has Dip Wheeler execution risk?
No, I don't think so. I
No.
think at this point it's bigger than him anyway.
Is that the most generational trade? Like I'm sure you did really well on it too, but is that the most generational trade like ever?
I actually don't know like how I mean I assume he has a sizable bag in it, but I don't know how much.
I just know the first time I saw that guy tweeting back. Can you just tell me the Farcoin story? Tell me about people farting on you in Asia and shit. Like give me just give it to me, dude. Just do it. Just fucking rip it off. Just fucking
All
do
right.
it, dude.
So, when the whole AI meta started popping off, I was on vacation in Asia. I was doing like the Asia conference tour, and I went right after I bought Farcoin. I went to four different countries in Asia, and in all four of those countries, someone farted on me. And
Like
the first
audibly.
audibly loud, like loud enough that I could hear it over a crowd. Like the first one, I was in a crowd of like 200 people, and I got the first one on video just by total chance. I happened to be taking a video. There was like a stray cat that walked by, and some girls were like, "Oh, cute kitty," and they were like petting the cat. I pull out my phone to get a video of this stray cat, and at the end of my video, you can hear this loud fart over the whole crowd. Like I said, I'm in a crowd of, this is in Seoul in South Korea. I was in a crowd of like 200 people.
Can I ask you a
And the
question?
fact that, what?
Maybe not the first time, but like the second and third time it happened, did you like smile to yourself a little? Like were you like low key like did you like it?
Um, I, the farts, no. The, like, I
Just
found
say
it
yes, you
hilarious. I found it
sick fuck.
hilarious.
Just say yes.
I found it hilarious. I mean, you can look back through my tweets. I kept updating everybody like, "Oh my God, someone else farted on me. Like, what's going on?" I'm like losing my shit right now because everywhere I go, somebody farts on me, and I'm like, "This can't be real." But yeah, I was starting to like, I was starting to mess with my mind a bit. Like, how is this happening? But I thought it was hilarious. And actually, like, I have a background of this happening to me a lot.
Are
Actually,
people
like
farting
back
on
when I
you?
was no, just like coincidences
Oh.
aligning with my trades. Like back when I was in Chainlink, I had it happen a bunch of times where, and like I would even tweet it in real time. I'd like the chain link bottom in like July of 2021, like after the like mid bull crash. Then the very day that it bottomed, I tweeted like, guys, I've been having all these strange like chain link related coincidences happening to me. Like I think we're gonna pump. And then from that was like the exact bottom. And then that day it went up like,
What is a chain link correlated coincidence?
um, all right. So just to give you like to explain what happened that day, um, I was going to this guy's house party, and I called an Uber, and the Uber pulls up, and the license plate is like LNK 77 or something like that. Which, if you're familiar with the like Link Marines, they're big on the number seven.
Okay.
So I like tap my girlfriend on the shoulder. I'm like, look, like Link 77, and she like rolls her eyes, oh whatever. And then we get in the car, and the guy is listening to music on the radio, and he has one of those like digital displays where it shows the name of the song.
Uh-huh.
And the name of the song was called Link Up. And I was like,
What?
all right, now this is starting to become a little bit of a pattern. Like, this is weird. And like, I show my girlfriend, she's like, okay, yeah, that is a little weird. And then we get to the cookout, and I don't know if you're familiar, but like the Link Marines, they were big on like frog memes.
Okay.
Because like
Like Pepe and
a lot of
shit,
the
or
Link
like
Marine, yeah, like Pepe, because the Link Marines they started on 4chan, and Pepe was 4chan's primary meme.
okay.
So like the Link Marines also had Pepe and like frog memes as their primary meme. So yeah, it was like a lot of, and sometimes people would just call the Link Marines frogs, like generically. But I show up to this cookout, and this guy has like 20 fucking ceramic frogs all over his backyard. And I'm just like, all right, that's enough. I'm going home. I'm buying more chain link. And like that was literally the Pico bottom of chain link, and it went up like 300 or 400% from that day to like cycle top. And
Dude,
that's
can
not
you
even
go
the
to like a
like
petting zoo and like see some goats or some shit? Like fucking hell,
I
man.
did. Well,
Fuck.
when I was in I went to like dinner the one day after like getting goat, and walk into the restaurant, and like right at the entrance of the restaurant they had this like 6 foot tall painting of a goat. And I'm just like, yeah, stuff like that happens all the I get like a bunch of little one-offs, but then occasionally I'll have these days where like multiple things will happen, and then I'm like, all right,
And if
something's
multiple
up.
happens, you bid.
And then I bid, and like it like 9 times out of 10 it works out for me. It's the weirdest shit. It's like it's enough to make somebody like lose their mind.
Well, you.
But
I mean, I assume you have a high percentage of your net worth in fart coin. So yeah, people do lose their minds.
yeah, but like the more like the more people kept farting on me, honestly, it did like increase my conviction on it. Like it's like a sign from the universe to buy Farcoin.
I want to let you sit with that one for a second. Uh,
Nice.
I'm curious what you think is gonna be. I guess outward looking here is gonna be the sector of AI that performs the best because it started with. If I felt like we've gone in like three phases where it started with the slot bots, which were cool, but they were annoying. Zeribo's sick. I love Shoot Terminal. Zeribo's a little bit more now, but at the beginning. And then we sort of evolved into infinite bid on the platforms. Everyone wanted the platforms, like the virtuals, the AI16Z, the where can I launch more slot bots. Everyone was, Bully was adding it, everyone was adding it. Like we have to build the frameworks, we have to build the platforms. And then now, like there's definitely it feels like an increasing amount of people are building this AI is the front end, like Block Explorer type of Grafane, AI Wayfinder, like feels like we're like trending in that direction where everybody sort of wants to build that. I don't know if you see it exactly how I do, but I'm curious like where is the capital gonna flow, especially in the largest like marginal gains of which is probably yet to come. Like for AI agent coins to pump from 15 bill to 100 bill, like where is that money going?
I think ultimately, like for that 15 bill to 100 bill kind of pump, you need just like pure euphoria. And at that point, it doesn't it doesn't really matter like what the token does. It doesn't really matter if it's infrastructure. It doesn't really matter if it's an agent on some infrastructure or like what category of AI it is. It just has to be like the one that's the coolest, the one that has the most attention. I mean, if you look at Doge, like getting to what was its what was its peak? Like 50
I think
billion,
100.
100 billion?
99. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Like that's just a picture of a dog. And like I kind of use that as a framework for a lot of things. Like if that can go to that valuation, it ultimately doesn't matter like the the tech behind these things doesn't matter. It's more a factor of like which one can just convince the most people it's going up. Um, no, that's not to say like the tech doesn't matter at all. I'm just speaking more of like that late stage bull market where like everything goes crazy. Like they're not pumping because of some fundamental. They're pumping just because it's going up a lot and people are thinking it's going to go up a lot more, and they're just in a frenzy and it's buy and it's whoever has the most attention, and that might be an infrastructure play, it might be an agent play, but it's more just about like um, what has the attention. And I mean that's like that is kind of my thesis with Farcoin is like that'll have the
Yeah.
attention.
Maybe it's to my own detriment, but I think sometimes I'm too much of a believer in, like I think sometimes it's this annoying like paradox where sometimes I feel like I think too hard and I try to justify things too hard, and then other times I just get like I'm either thinking too hard to try to justify like no the tech is correlates to the, or I'm in just like full blown brain off retard euphoria mode, and then that like I kind of get burnt when I'm on both ends of the spectrum. I get burnt. I find myself, and I think that you are right. From 15 to, because from 0 to 15 was kind of euphoric in AI coins. So then 15 to 100 billion is gonna be just, oh, the dev is still alive and has a pulse, like send it to 30 mil, which has kind of sort of been happening a little bit. But yeah, I think that you're right. Like it isn't gonna matter. And honestly, the long term tech plays, I don't know entirely how to like articulate this, but the tech won't get better and progress at the speed of the market caps like just bidding up ridiculous amounts. Like it isn't like the tech got 10x better when we go from 15 to 100, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
the
definitely just
price
bid.
price does move a lot faster than fundamentals. Like speculation, it happens at a super fast pace. No dev can keep up with the like speculation of what a dev can do. And actually we have like there's some classic examples of like devs finally delivering being very bearish, like
My favorite.
the whole Cardano example of like the day they launched smart contracts was the Pico top like forever on it. So like when when you don't deliver, then that leaves people's minds open to like how big it can be. But once you deliver, it's now real, like you're now grounded in reality and people can't dream anymore.
You know what the biggest AI project that launches the cycle is probably gonna be? Whoever, it's probably not, hasn't launched yet, and it's gonna be whoever is main character founder with the grandest, like we're gonna build a Yuga Labs metaverse in Q4 2027, and it's like this like grandiose, massive, enormous vision with no tangible product that people could just like speculate on and glaze and like fantasize about. Founder is like a hyper main character that's at the topic of every conversation. Getting engagement builds a cult, and they don't actually deliver anything for the entirety of the cycle. Like that is the type of shit. So I've like almost found myself, I'm like bidding less of, oh, I think this is cool, and I'm bidding more like this founder is gonna be main character, because the bull market loves that shit. They love that shit.
Yeah, I think um, having a strong character that gets like people to rally behind something is really important because again it comes back to like the whole attention thing. So if you have a leader that can get people's attention and get that flywheel going, um, So yeah, there's attention flywheels, and those are driven by like charismatic leaders. But you can also have like token flywheels. So something like Ohm from last cycle. If we see like the AI equivalent of Ohm show up, where you just get people like locking up their tokens and just like full like cult level belief in like number going up, that could be something that could pump really hard too. Also, like back to the whole fundamentals thing, I think a good way to put that is like, I don't think fundamentals define the upside of the token as much as they define the downside of a token. Like,
Oh, I like
because
that.
upside is limited only by speculation and like how much people can dream and how crazy people can get. But the downside, if you have a project with actual fundamentals, that will cap like how much downside. But if you have like this project that never delivers anything and it goes on this like crazy speculative run, but there's no actual like fundamental behind it, it like ultimately it dies off and it goes to zero. And like the market does eventually find fair value, but sometimes we can get very far away from fair value in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually a really
But
interesting take. I haven't thought about it like that, but you're right. The fundamentals define the downside more than the upside. I like that framing.
and like this happens in like the stock market too. So if you look at like the S&P over time, it pretty much tracks like the GDP of the country. So like
Mm-hmm.
as the country grows, the stocks grow. But you'll have these windows of like bull markets and bear markets where the stock valuations get like really far overextended over like the trend line of GDP where it should be. And then you also have times where it gets like overextended below that value where things are like crazy sold off because of some like illogical reason, or people are just like forced to sell like in the global financial crisis.
Fuck, man,
So
you're
you get
sharp,
these,
dude. Sorry, I finished. Sorry. I was gonna glaze. Keep going. Keep going.
yeah, you get these like you get these events that happen for whatever reason, like each time it's a different reason, but it like drives valuations either like way far above or way far below like the fair market value. But ultimately the pendulum does swing back to equilibrium and it finds fair market value. And like so the people who say like these alts are all going to zero, they say that because like, I mean, a lot of them don't have any like real fundamental value behind it, and yeah, they probably will at some point go to zero, but in the meantime, like they're going to go to 10 billion, 20 billion, whatever. Like they can go very crazy before the market like finds the real true value for it.
You're sharp, dude. I like that take a lot. You're yeah. I like. You know what I'm obsessed with this year, Gammy? Is
So
I'm obsessed with clear thinking, which I notoriously am not good at clear thinking, and I found that I've just been bringing on who I think is fucking smart, and I'm honestly pretty grateful that you agreed to come on. And I find that when I leave a conversation, because I don't leave every conversation, I'm like, oh, that guy's, half the time I leave, I'm like, yeah, that guy got lucky, and then half the time I leave, and I'm like, yeah, that guy is he's the real deal. And I find when I leave saying that guy is the real deal, they always have this ability to come on and very clearly articulate their thought process and why they did what they did and how they got there, and they have a framework for how they would get there again in the future, right? Like those are the guys that aren't lucky to me. Is like you have a foundation for how you got to and accepted the AI trade, but then it's scalable and repeatable to where you could do it again if it was the DeFi trade or if it was the DPIN trade or whatever it is, which I think is it's impressive when I listen to you speak. Here's a question I want to ask you. I know we don't have too much time left. Is what would have to happen to invalidate the AI agent trade in crypto this cycle? Like, what would have to happen for you to be like, yeah, this trade is cooked and I need to look elsewhere?
um I think like the only thing I can really think of that would do that for me is just like the whole cycle ending. I like I I can't see us being in a bull market and having the newest, most exciting tech to bid on and not bidding on it. Like what would have to happen is we would just have to lose the bull market excitement. Like that's maybe that's a non-answer,
No,
but I
that's like
really
that is like the most bullish thing you could have absolutely said out of your mouth, actually.
yeah, I think the whole cycle would have to stop this personally.
Damn, that is fucking bullish. Um, wow.
Like if you're in crypto and you're bullish, like you think it's still a bull cycle, um like why wouldn't you be bidding the newest hottest thing, I guess, right? That has like the most attention. Like it's consistently like 60% plus mind share if you look on like the Cato analytics. Like it's the thing that everybody's talking about. Like I can't think of any reason people would suddenly just like stop talking about it, but yet crypto is also really bullish. Like that just seems like an incongruency for me. I don't think like those two things could coexist.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. I love that. Dude, this was. Do you like? Do you enjoy doing this? Like coming on here? Is this something you like? Like, are we ever gonna get you back, or this is a one and done thing? Like, do you like doing this?
I'd be willing to come back. I like chatting.
I like your voice. I like your takes too, but I like your voice. Not in like a weird way. I don't want that to come off weird.
Thanks, man.
All right, I guess it's sort of like a sign off thing. Cause this was a sick chat. I gotta do a Twitter Spaces in a few minutes. Give me like, all right, give me a double header. Give me anything that you want to show. Like anything you want to send. Not even coins, but anything you want to send people to. There's a lot of people in the chat that fucking think you're very sharp. But then secondly, and most importantly after that, is give the chat and everyone listening, and honestly me, some motivation on how to make it this cycle. I need to hear it.
All right. Well, for my shills, I did have a post on my Twitter. I guess if you just search for like 2025, I listed some of my 2025 picks. Maybe I should put that in my highlights. But for infrastructure, I think Zerobro and Arc are still underpriced. Zerobro's had some tough times recently, but I think that's just because the ZeroPi, like the framework that they're launching, hasn't really like that whole token flywheel hasn't really started yet. And I think when that spins up, it'll have like the same kind of power that AI16Z and virtuals have driving it because they have that whole token flywheel mechanic. Arc's going to have that as well. So those are like my two underdog infrastructure picks. I really like the DeFi AI, like the helper bots. One I'm big on there is Grift. I keep talking about Grift because they've been building for like 2 or 3 years, like before this meta started. So they already have something like 180 integrations. Like they have like 180 different agents that can all do something for you on chain. They have them like all, so you just go and you say I want to do this, this, and this, and like it matches you with the correct agent that can do everything for you. So they I think are a step ahead pretty much everybody else because they've been working on it for so long. And it's like an actual real like AI company behind it. They're called Sphere One.
Okay.
And also Wayfinder, I think that's going to be big when that launches. And I think the best way to bet on that now, because the prompt token isn't out yet, you can't like bet directly on Wayfinder, but you can buy the first agent on Wayfinder, which is Nova. So I think that's a really good way to get like proxy exposure to Wayfinder like 2 months before Wayfinder's even out. And one cool thing is Universal Operating System. They're working on self-replicating agents, which I think could be really interesting. So not just having like people deploy agents, but having other agents deploy agents, and they kind of like iteratively try and improve each other. So we may find these agents come up with things that like humans couldn't even think up because they just so rapidly iterate between themselves. Kind of in a similar way how like Goat was in the infinite backrooms and they were like talking between each other and just like coming up with all these ideas. You can now do that, but with like generating agents. So it's like a platform for agents to self-replicate. All right, that's enough shilling. On to the second part. So just like, what was the question again? Like motivation for
Yeah,
how to make it?
how to make it this cycle in crypto with Gammy. Hit us.
I think a key word is patience. So I have a note on my desktop with just like some phrases to remind myself of every day, and one of those is just in all caps the word patience. A lot of people with that mindset of like, I need to make it, I need to make it, they're like chasing things, they're jumping from one to another. They see like whatever is like the hot thing that everybody's talking about on Twitter. Well, like if everybody's talking about it on Twitter already, they're probably all allocated, and you're probably jumping in like towards the tail end. It depends. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. But like if you're constantly rotating to the hot new thing and chasing what other people are already in, you're always going to be behind. So you want to like be patient, allocate to like what you believe in, and don't get like FOMO because some other person's token is running. There's always going to be 100 other tokens like pumping on any given week. Focus on yourself, have conviction in yourself, have faith, have patience, and yeah, that's that.
Gammy, you're the GOAT, bro. Fuck, I enjoyed this. You cannot unfollow me now that you did the stream though. You have to stay.
I will. I'll stay. I'll stay.
Dude, this was great. I really you just did one with what? You were on Mario Space, right?
Yeah.
I caught a second of that. You're fucking sharp, bro. I got noties on for you. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this. I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to get you this entire cycle, but when you said you were down, I was like, let's fucking go. This was awesome, bro.
Thanks, man. I had fun. Thanks for
Do
having
you
me.
write?
I used to write on like Notion and stuff, but now I pretty much just brain dump everything
On
that comes to
Twitter?
mind on Twitter. Yeah.
I was gonna say I would read the fuck out of your Substack, dude.
Yeah, I feel like my writing has gotten just like more and more short form because of Twitter. Like, I don't, there's just like, I mean, I've got like 100 tabs open on my computer right now.
Yeah.
There's just like, there's always something to be looking at, always something to be reading. And I just, because I'm kind of like, the space is so overwhelming. There's not much time where I like sit down and write like a long form article. Occasionally I'll have like a long tweet where like I'll just get really deep in my thoughts and like I just have a lot to dump, but that's about as long as it gets.
Well, dude, it was a fucking pleasure. Thank you for the insights. Thank you for the time. I'm a big fan, and you got like 400 people in chat that are a fan of yours as well, dude. So I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you, and keep farting, man.
Will do. Thanks for
All right,
having me.
bro. Talk soon.